JBDrumTalk. Happy Friday. We're back again. We've got a really good topic we're talking about today. It's about being prepared in the industry of drumming for live gigs. Today we're going to be interviewing Molzo.
Yeah, this is going to be a gigging 101. So, as you might have heard from Jono in previous posts or whatever, I moved up to Cairns from Sunshine Coast in Australia. Australia
Day.
That's it.
It was yesterday.
It was yesterday. And I've been here for about a month, and it came up that Jono was asked to do a gig that he couldn't do because he was already playing somewhere else.
Yep.
And so I quickly picked up a drumming gig on pretty short notice.
Yep.
So today we want to do a one-on-one about how to prepare for gigs, what equipment you need, some of the things that I found as I went through that process and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So let's quickly talk through it. You got the gig.
Yes. So I found out on Monday night that I would be playing on Saturday.
Yeah. So not quite a week, 5 days notice.
That's right.
There's a few things that you already had prepared, like you had a drum kit and different things. Do you want to run through the gear that you had prepared, ready to go?
Yeah. So straight away, obviously, I had the Tama kit that you've seen in.
What is that Tama kit?
It is a Birch Superstar.
Yeah. So it's not a cheap kit, is it? It's like a professional standard kit.
Yeah, I got a really good deal on it. So when I bought it, it only cost me $1,400, which is great.
Super cheap. That's Aussie prices, by the way.
Yeah. So really good deal purchasing that kit to start with. The first thing that I did when I knew that I was going to be playing at a venue was that I backed off all the drums because it is like a 7-piece or something like that. Yeah. So we took it back to one rack tom, one floor tom, kick snare. I think that's really important.
And what was that week? You re-skinned it as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Went through and gave a good tune and made sure that everything was as good as I could have it before I actually arrived at the venue.
Yeah.
So I had the kit. I had most of my cymbals. I did borrow one cymbal from Jono because it was short notice. It is important to have a decent kit, decent cymbals, a decent instrument to play. For me, the problem with my second cymbal, it rings out too much. And I do want to replace it, and I will over time. Just short notice, you know how it is.
Yep.
I wanted something that wouldn't ring and overwhelm in the setting that I was playing at.
Yep.
So,
because the venue you're playing at, there's a lot of hard surfaces.
That's right. Yeah, it's basically a giant blocks, timber floors,
glass windows to the one side, brick, and so basically the biggest thing that you want to do in those scenarios is make your kit as not as dead, but you want to have as less sustain as possible, and you don't want cymbals that are going to sustain for days and days. You want something that's going to be nice and short, a lot of attack, nice and short, because the PA in the room is going to do a lot of the work. Now that takes us to, if the kit's tuned like that where it's quite flat and the response in front of you, you're going, wow, there's not a lot of tone happening. But when you put a mic on the kit, it changes everything. What mics were you using that night?
Yeah, so I have a JTS kick mic that we picked up second hand.
Yep.
I had that already. I was able to get some Sennheiser mics in just in time. So they're the E604s.
That's the ones?
Yeah, the clip mics for my toms. We got a fantastic deal on them from Buzz Music. They did something amazing for us.
Which is our local
they're our local supplier.
Yep.
I had a Shure SM57 on the snare drum, which is pretty standard, and then an M3 Rode mic as my overhead mic.
Yep.
So kick, snare, tom, overhead, that's it. As close as I can to close mic in every part of the drum kit.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And what was your fallback so you could hear the rest of the band on stage?
So the guys I was working with, when I first got the job, I checked what they normally do because
that's really important. Yeah.
If they're going to use fallbacks, use fallbacks. If they're going to use in-ears, use in-ears.
So just so we're clear, fallback generally means a loudspeaker, can be powered or unpowered, but beside you that will...
A wedge
you can hear yourself, and in-ears, that's pretty...
that's your headphones.
Yeah.
The cheap way to do your in-ears is to go cabled. So you're just going to have your headphones, they're going to be plugged into a cable that runs over to the desk, and then you can run your sound that way. I'm lucky enough, because I do a fair bit of gigging on bass and other things, I already have a wireless system, so I've got that Sennheiser in-ear monitoring system, and I had that ready to go as well. So that's what I use for my in-ears, but I did check beforehand to make sure that's what the rest of the band would be doing as well.
Yeah, it's really important to check with your band leader what gear you need to bring in that regards. we'll get to that a little bit more down the list that we've got here. But just out of everything that you had to do with the gig, like when you get a gig, it's all good. You get the phone call, hey, can you come and do a gig? It's not as simple as like rock up on Saturday and play. There is an amount of songs that you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
In this instance, you had roughly between 35 and 40 songs?
That's right. So we were looking at 3 full sets, about 10 to 12 songs per set, an extended last set because it's a little bit later in the night, people like to dance, all that sort of thing. So we were playing 45 minutes each set.
Yep.
But yeah, about 35, 40 songs. How many do you normally have?
Well, we usually play for 40 minutes to an hour set, so 40 minutes is 8 to 9 songs. We have like between 8 and 13 songs in our set list to allow for that hour break if we do what we're doing in our groups that we're playing in.
When you get down to it though, I mean, I got the set list Tuesday night, so practice.
I was about to say
Thursday, Friday.
You don't rock up to the gig Saturday and ask for a set list.
No.
What did you do? You ran ahead.
Yeah. On the Monday, my first lot of questions. I'll talk through them all in a moment. One of them was, can I have the set list immediately? So the next day he got me that set list.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to learn, what are we talking about? 37 songs it was for this
That's
gig.
it.
In 3 days, you have to be very tactical and strategic about how you do your rehearsal.
Yep.
And how you learn that many songs in the amount of time that you've got there.
Yep.
So when you're talking about prepping for these events, first thing, get your set list.
Yep. Then what did you do?
Number 2, I went through the list and I took notes. Yep.
Notes! It's a smart thing to do!
I'm not saying that you write a paragraph on each song or anything like that, but there's particular things that you need to check to make sure that you are prepared.
Can we flash really quickly? Molzo sent this picture to me on the night. I was gigging across the road. He sent me a picture of his kit. You'll see this picture in a second. Yeah. There's a picture of his kit with his iPad set up to the right, and on that iPad is a list of notes that he's going through all the songs. So we'll go to that right now.
Yeah. So while this is up on the screen, I had the song name, who it was by, the key, because that's what I was provided.
Yep.
And then on the left, I've got maybe 4 or 5 words. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Specifically, I'm looking at what the groove is for the song. Okay. So whether it is a dance beat or a running 16ths or hip hop, whatever. I wrote down what type of groove I need to play. I looked at the entry to the song and how the song starts, the outro to the song and how the song finishes, and then specifically throughout the piece, if there's any hits that I can know about in advance so that I can match up with the rest of the band.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're playing covers and working with these different groups, they'll have ways that they play already. So you have to be very flexible, but if you have that information to start with, it's a huge step up on where you should be. So,
can I just say, like, how important is it to actually practice? Because, like, your first impression in the band is really important, right?
Yes. Like, this decides whether you're going to have more work with them down the track or not. And most people aren't going to want to be doing one-off gig once every 6 months or something like that. You want to be playing a couple of times a month as a good place to start. And you want to have the first impression to be really, really good. Yep. So know your stuff, be prepared, have the right gear. All those things are huge when you're setting up.
Yeah. So you mentioned before that you had like contact with the band leader before you had the gig. You mentioned that you asked about a set list. Was there anything else that you talked about with them?
Every single gig, whatever instrument I'm playing, we go over date, time, location that we're playing, because if I have to travel somewhere, that's a big deal, like if I'm driving an hour and a half to get to that.
And a big thing is it's not like the time that you're rocking up for the gig. There's a setup beforehand, so you got to have all that communication.
Yeah, so we talked about maybe a rehearsal time beforehand. I didn't end up getting that because I had to go to my job as a teacher.
Your day job,
Yep. We have a setup time on the morning of. We then show up a little bit early to have a chat about the set list, and then we've actually got the gig itself.
So you're talking about turning up early before the gig?
That's right.
Or before setup?
No, before the gig.
Yeah,
before
cool.
the gig. Just to catch up and check the set list.
Yeah.
Time, date, location, as far as whether I have to travel somewhere, but also then talking about the room we'd be working in and what equipment's required.
Yep.
And then obviously we're professionals.
Yep.
Okay, professionals get paid for their time.
Yep.
So politely discussing the pay for the gig as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
You weren't demanding. You just said, "What's the gig pay?"
I just said, "What's the gig pay?" And they went, "Fantastic."
Yeah.
Okay, it's not always the best idea to argue price on your first gig.
No.
In fact, it's never a good idea to argue price on your first gig.
No.
Generally, take what you're getting for your first couple, and then figure out particularly what the industry is in the area.
Yep.
I had a good idea already of what everyone was getting paid, and it matched up with that perfectly.
Because I live here.
Yeah. So I didn't really need to talk about that with him at all.
Yeah.
So
setup. Did you take forever and make lots of jokes, or
no?
No. What did you do?
When you get there, you bring in all your equipment. You help everybody else.
Help everyone else. Hey, it's a team effort.
Everybody loves somebody that helps out.
Yeah.
You know. Once I'm in there, you set up as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be playing the drums and playing with my kit, just practicing songs. That's not the time to do it. Okay?
Because the sound checks, right?
That's right.
So you want to get in there as quick as possible. You're not wasting other people's time.
Yes.
You're setting up. When sound check's happening for another instrument, you're not playing over the top of it.
No.
And when you're asked to do what you're asked to do, you just quickly sit down and start playing.
That's
now,
right.
if the sound engineers ask you to change something for the tuning of your drums, what are you going to do there?
I'm going to, the best of my ability, with the knowledge I have, do what he asks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because does the sound engineer probably know the room slightly better than you?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We talked about this in our other vlog. The sound guy should be your best friend.
Yeah.
I came with my drums tuned and prepared to the best of my ability, and then they give me feedback on what I can fix up or how the room sounds.
Because you were asked to do a couple of little changes, and it was just super simple, little things, but it made the overall sound much better, right?
That's right. That's right. I tuned my snare a little bit higher for the room.
Yeah.
That was about it. So. Being very polite with the noise I was making during setup. I asked if I could help. We then do our sound check. You have to remember that when we're doing these bump-ins, there's a limited amount of time that we have at the venue as well. So you have to be as quick as possible. You don't want to waste people's time.
Yep.
And we'll do the sound check, we'll do a couple of songs, and then we're out of there.
Yep. Let's just quickly talk about the gig itself.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just rock up and play as you normally would? Or were you kind of very conscious about the sound of the room and how you would fit in with the band and your noise level and all that?
So I was playing the event from 9 till 12 p.m.
Yep.
So it's a 3-hour gig at a bar that's louder. And
they have a restaurant there as well, right?
Yeah, a Dance Vibe. So I arrived at 8:30. Like I said, talked through the set list with the group.
Yep.
We jumped on at 9. My first set, we sat down in the dynamics because people are still having dinner, drinks, all that sort of thing. And as the dance floor fills up a little bit more, that's when we sort of hit the level that I was running in sound check.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm for the most part, don't over push the level from sound check.
Yeah.
Okay, sound check is your ceiling,
yeah.
And then when you're at the gig, that's the ceiling that you play to.
Because that's also respecting the venue, right?
Yes.
And if you, as a band, like get on the good side of the venue, but respect the rules of the venue as well, you're more likely to be employed there again because of the the great rapport that you start with.
Yeah, that's right. So we did our 3 sets over that session. There were changes in the song order.
Yep.
There were additional songs added on the spot.
Yep.
So make sure you're flexible, okay? For the most part, you should be able to follow along with whatever they're asking you to do. And most good bands that you work with aren't going to throw new songs into the mix that you haven't heard or you're not capable of playing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Very lastly, we've done the gig, we've finished. Do you just pack up your gear and leave?
As quickly as possible, I packed up my kit and then I helped everyone else pack up their stuff and then I helped them carry it to their cars because I want to be invited back next time.
Yeah, that's right. It's really important that at the end of a gig that it's a team effort. It's not just an individual or 4 or 5 individuals of the band. You're there doing the gig together. You help pack down. You help get your stuff out to the car. Everyone kind of has a good little handshake. See you later. Thanks so much. You build that friendship, and next time, because you have helped out, putting that little bit of extra effort in, you're more likely than not to be called back on a gig again.
That's right. 2 other things that I try and do when I'm playing. First one is the next day after the event, if I've worked with a new band, I'll send out a thank you text message.
Yep. Very important.
And then the last one is just being organised with your invoices.
Yeah.
Okay. In Australia, we send an invoice to the band leader and then they'll pay us the appropriate amount at the appropriate time. Just make sure you've got that sorted and prepared in advance.
If you've left it, like if you've done the gig on the weekend, most of the time, if you can get your invoice out before the next lot of gigs, that's really well prepared, and that's going to help them get the payments to you quicker, because in a lot of the cases, they're not going to pay you until you send an invoice. So the longer you leave the invoice, the longer you are without your payment from that gig.
Yeah. I guess summing it all up, be prepared with your gear.
Yep.
Be prepared with your preparation for the songs and everything you need for the actual event, and then be professional while you're there.
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah. Awesome. Molzo, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, look, for me, I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm happy to learn from other professionals in the industry doing it as well. But, for people starting out, like, I didn't have all that information, and I've learned it over the years, and it's really cool to be able to just, hear from you, another professional, and how you prepare, because that's kind of like, I know that's the standard here where we live, but it's also kind of the standard in the industry that we work in.
That's right.
Yeah. So I really appreciate your feedback on that and your knowledge in the professional industry that we are in as drummers. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge.
Well, thank you.
No worries.
It feels funny being interviewed on a channel that I already talk about.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that's right. Anyway,
that's good. Hey,
we'll call it there.
That's it.
Do all the things. Like, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week for the next JB Drum Talk.
And if there's anything else you want us to chat about, let us know in the comments below. We're happy to take on your suggestions. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.